Pitter patter, let's get at her. I hope you enjoyed the beginning, the intro. That was my day. That was my day in a nutshell. Yeah, there was one little toke thrown in there for y'all, but that was my day. It was a cooking day. You're cooking with gourd. And I don't know if I'll do this again, but maybe once in a while, for sure on Turkey Day, for sure on Christmas, I'll take you along that ride. But we'll see. This is an experiment, my friends. So if you want to know what that luscious meal was, that was actually not the greatest cut of pork tenderloin, but that's making the most out of a bad cut. I wouldn't say a bad cut, but my local co-op had a bunch of tenderloin already frozen, so they're a few days, that's what they do, and really cheap. So I bought 2 packs of 2, and I think it cost me like $7, $8. Really cheap cut of meat, so you aren't going to get something fantastic. Oh, excuse me. Let's move the sound a little closer for you all, because sometimes lately my voice doesn't carry because I'm on this medicine that goes up the nose and down the throat, and it affects my vocal cords. But, so, I took that pork tenderloin, I decided to slow cook it. And I want to bring you along the ride because I do other things kind of not like my mom used to. First of all, so I'm going to just take you through the day. The way you saw it was the first thing you saw was my potatoes. And yeah, first thing in the morning, good, fresh, russet potatoes. Peel them, slice them, and make them small. Make them not real tiny, of course, but make them small enough. I slice a good size russet into 4 pieces and then half each one of those pieces. So I slice it in 8 because what we're doing is we're putting it in a bit of water. We're putting it in cold water. We're putting some salt, a bit of sugar. You can try a few different things. It's not really going to flavor it, but the sugar helps break down some of the carbohydrates in there. But you put it in the fridge first thing in the morning, and even better the night before. The longer it sits in cold water, the better boiled potatoes are. Especially russets. Russets can be really starchy. And what you're doing is you're soaking a lot of that starch out of there. You're preparing them for boiling. The major difference that I noticed when you actually look at the potato, when you take the potato out and it's soft all the way through without the flaky falling apart edges. It's cooked evenly, and that's because of the moisture that's held inside these potatoes, that by soaking them in water, you honestly bring that out because of the salt. So I brine, for lack of a better word, but it's not really a brine my potatoes. I'm looking down because I'm looking at what I just showed y'all in the intro to make sure that I tell you what I did. And the very next thing was the spice rub. And that, I know some people say, make sure you use this amount of this and this amount of that. I always play with spices. Know your spices. Be sure you know them, because mixing the wrong spices just isn't going to work real well. But this time I had some celery salt, garlic salt, a little bit hint of paprika, some chipotle mango, really, really nice flavors out of that, and some onion salt. A bit of sea salt and some ground pepper. Then I put some and this I'm making in the morning too. Then I put some olive oil in there, a good amount. I didn't put enough. You'll see the picture. It's wet, but it should have been really wet. Still worked out really well because it's a rub. You're going to rub that all over, and you'll see the very next thing was, yeah, the very next thing was that tenderloin, first raw and then rubbed. So rub that tenderloin all over the place, put it fat piece up. This one was kind of covered in fat, so it didn't matter a lot, but I put this fat slab up. A tenderloin has a cap on it. So put that up because that'll keep that meat really, really juicy. But on top of that, you want to put a little bit of honey and, a half a cup of water. Just enough to coat the bottom of it. It's that moisture continually steaming the pork that breaks it down really well. So, wait, this will take 4 hours to cook, 4.5. So you want to start maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when I did. And put the oven at 450 and wait until it's fully preheated and get that roast in, closed, and set your timer for 15 minutes. Then take the roast out, put the tray down. It was center, move it down one more in the oven so it's a little closer to the coils, and change your temperature to 250. Close that door. It'll cool down on its own, and 250 for 4 hours. 4 hours. Make sure. So then you're pretty well safe for quite a while. Now, I like to pre-peel my carrots so that I'm ready and cut them and put them in cold water too. Put them in the fridge, let them sit right near the potatoes so that I'm ready later. Then I went on the walk, and you went on the walk with me. But then we came back and we put it in the oven, like I said, 450, 10 minutes. Get it 15 max. You know your oven better than I do. Mine doesn't reach good temperature even though it says it does. So 450, 10 to 15 minutes, and then the rest of the 4 hours. And then you just need to time it that you boil the potatoes. What I did was I tried to time it. I always put my potatoes in cold water. Turn the heat up full until it comes to a boil. Then I turn it down to a medium high and let it continue to boil. That usually takes 20 minutes. About 3-4 minutes into that, maybe 5 minutes into that, I take the meat out of the oven. It's ready. But you got to put it down and make a tinfoil tent out of it and let that meat rest. You don't want to cut a piece of meat while it's fresh out of the oven. Let the juices sit inside of it. Let it sit, let it stay. Try not to touch it too much. Just move it to something else. Put a tinfoil plate over it, tinfoil tent over it, and leave it alone. Cook your potatoes. I made baby carrots. These were really good. I don't like those pre-peeled carrots. They never turn out well. Boil those. I like boiled carrots. Just don't boil them until they're too soft. They got to have a little bit of a crunch left. And then I strain the juices from the roast. Oh, I forgot to mention, I took some Christmas chutney and put it on that roast on the top. And I basted it 3 times maximum. You don't want to open up a slow cook too often. But once in a while to give it a little bit of basting, a little bit of those extra juices because you want those flavors. It's okay, especially with that chutney on it. Made a real neat flavor. And then we strained that, and I added in a separate dish. I learned that from my mom. Mixed cold water and equal parts, not really equal. Doesn't matter. You all know how to make gravy. A little bit of flour, a little bit of cold water, mix it up good. Added it to that juice and started to simmer it down and bring it to a nice thickness. And then there you have it, pork roast a la Hippie. And wow, it was good. The pork just fell apart in the hands and the fork. I did not serve a knife. Nobody needed a knife. The potatoes were perfect and a real nice flavor to them. That chutney pork gravy, that was the first gravy I've made. Seriously, my first gravy. I've always bought a canned gravy. And once in a while, maybe the envelope of gravy and you add water. But I've always cheated on the gravy, but this time I thought, no, I'm going to make my own gravy. And it was lovely. So, there you've gone on a cooking day with Gord. I don't know what to call it. I don't know if I'll do it again, but I brought you along and you were a part of my Sunday. I hope you enjoyed it. I am trying to find a replacement to Hippie News because I just don't feel like reporting on news. And yes, I will do further talks. I plan to talk in the future here on, I saw an article again about the rise of the black market, and we really need to get definitions down, but that's all for another day. I hope your day was great. I love y'all. I want to thank you for coming along, especially those of you that wait right to the end. Huge thumbs up. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. It really does, that you're watching me right to the end, the bitter end. Peace and cheers, friends, love and harmony. See, that's why I don't sing for a living.